Hey guys, this is Sri. So this is the first part of the video. So I'm going to start the new series. There we will see about the configuration and the architecture of the Percona XtraDB cluster and the Galera cluster. Okay. So before starting, so this is the first part of the video. So in this video, what we will see is we will see the quick introduction about the Percona XtraDB cluster, and we will see the complete steps involved in the installation and the configuration. Okay, so at the end, we will set up the three-node Percona XtraDB cluster. Okay, so here the difference between the Percona XtraDB cluster and Galera is like this is the Percona XtraDB cluster means which is the Percona server for MySQL, which is providing the Galera replication. Okay, through the WS API. Okay, so you can directly install the Percona XtraDB cluster from the using the Percona repository. You have the you have the dedicated packages to do that. So we will see that in the demo session. Okay, so before going to the installation and the configuration, let me give the quick introduction about what is Percona XtraDB cluster. Okay, so first of all, this is the high availability solution for the MySQL cluster. Uh, like you can do the failover easily. Like this provides a synchronous replication. Okay, the replication is working based on the certification that architecture, how the replication flow is working. That we will see in the separate video. Okay, so for now, it provides the synchronous replication. Okay, so you are almost like comparing the native asynchronous replication. Let's say if you have the source and replica and your source is down and your replica is lagging for a long time, then you have to wait, right, to do the failover. You need to wait until the replica is sync, right, getting sync. But here in the in this using the Percona XtraDB cluster, it provides a synchronous replication. You don't need to wait much. Okay, like in case your primary is down, and you can easily promote the other node as your primary. Okay, even that is we can configure automatically through using some load balancer like proxy SQL. We can do that automatically as well. Okay, and you can write on any node. It supports the multi-writer and multi-reader. Okay, and your data is available in the different nodes. Okay, so in that case, your durability is good. Like, and this also, as I told, this reduce the downtime and failover is quick. And mostly you can avoid the data loss when using the Percona XtraDB cluster. And you can also configure your nodes in the different with different architecture. Like you can configure in the private and public and geolocations. You can use the multi-DCs. Okay, like Galera provide the segment based replication. Okay, so that we will see in the later sessions. And also it will improve the performance, of course, because let's say you can split your load across the nodes. Okay, let's say you can split your reads across the nodes, and you can also do the multi-writer. But when you are splitting the using all the nodes effectively, you can improve your performance. Okay, overall performance, and reduce manual work while adding or rejoining the node. Okay, in case your node is down and when you are starting back, it will automatically catch up and it will join to the cluster. And also when you are adding the new node to the cluster group, that is also uh, automatic through the SST. Okay, so we have two methods. when the node is joining to the cluster group, it will use any one of this IST or SST. This is quite like we need like this is also we will see in the coming sessions. What is the SST and IST? Okay. So, but here let me give the quick introduction about that. So IST means incremental state transfer and SST means snapshot state transfer. Okay. So here we have the GKG, like Percona in XtraDB cluster, we have the GKG. It will hold the write sets. Okay. In here, the replication is happening based on the write sets. Okay. You don't need the binary logs. Okay. Uh, Comparing to the traditional asynchronous replication, all the changes will return in the binary log and they will be replicated to the replicas, right? But here you don't need the binary logs. Okay. Here the replication is different. The architecture is different. We will see that. But here, like as a quick glance, the replication is happening through the write sets, using the write sets, and the write sets will be stored in the gcache. Okay, gcache. Let's say you can configure your gcache size. Let's say you have configured 1 GB gcache size, and your one of the node is down. Okay, when you are rejoining after some time, other nodes available in the cluster still they will receive the writes, right, from the application. They will receive the writes. Let's say your gcache size is 1 GB, and when you are rejoining the node, you already written more than 1 GB. Okay, more than 1 GB, then your gcache will not have that data, right? So in that case, when you are rejoining, it will choose the SST method, snapshot method. It will snapshot. You have the different SST methods available: MySQL dump, parsing, extra backup, Maria backup, cloning. Okay, different methods available. That also we can define. Okay, which method you want, that also we can define. IST means if your data is all the missing data is available in the GKG, then it will choose the IST method, incremental state transfer method, and it will join to the cluster group. Okay, so IST should be quick because it will just get the missing data and it will join the cluster. SST maybe take some more time. Depends on your data size and network. It depends. Okay. So yeah, so this is about the little introduction. Okay, we have more, but that you can expect more videos from the Galera in the coming videos. Okay, but here this is the short introduction about the uh, Percona XtraDB cluster. So here today, what we are going to see, we are. I have 3 servers, so we are going to set up the 3 node Percona XtraDB cluster. Okay, and this is the requirement. So I already created the 3 servers, and here to configure the cluster, we need these ports should be open across all the 3 nodes. Okay, we need the 4 ports should be open. One is 3306, which is used to the MySQL client connections, and also if you choose the SST method is MySQL dump, then it will need to connect the donor node using the 3306 port. So 3306 port should be open across the nodes, and 4444 port is needed for the SST, and you choose the extra backup. That is for the SST, and 4567 is for the group communication. That is the group communication port. That port should be available across the node. So when you bring the node up, this port will be automatically activated, and all the Galera replications will be happens through the 4567 port, and 4568 is for the IST. Okay, so these are the 4 ports should be required to configure the Galera replication, and also like here I mentioned extra backup install, but when I choose the XST method extra backup, then it should be installed. Okay. But if you have chosen like SST method Maria backup, then you should install the Maria backup in your all the nodes. Okay. So like mostly when you are using the MariaDB Galera cluster, then SST method Maria backup is recommended. And when you are using the Percona XtraDB cluster, then extra backup is the recommended SST methods. Okay, you have the other methods as well, rsync and MySQL dump. But they each method have their own drawbacks and own benefits. Okay, so for example, you can choose the SST method MySQL dump, but if your data size is large, then taking the dump and restoring will take time, right? And also maybe it will block your donor, and rsync is completely it will block your donor node. It will be quick, but it will block your donor node. Okay. And so mostly I would prefer to use the extra backup for the PXE, Percona XtraDB cluster, and Maria backup for the MariaDB Galera cluster. Okay, so let's start the configuration. Actually, I did not configure it. I just created the server in AWS. So all the configurations I am going to do in front of you, I mean in this video. So first, let me do that one by one. Okay, so first I am going to actually I did not added my key yet. I am going to add my key on all these servers, and I'm going to configure the SSH config for all these three nodes first. Okay, so that would be my first step. So for example, dot run, yeah. So this is my first node. Let me open one more terminal and let me copy my public key here, and here I'm just adding the key in the authorized key section so that I can log in without file, right? So for that purpose. So now, yes, I have added for first server and SSH-I downloads help.pem Ubuntu, and here is my second server IP. I have to do this. And let me copy the key here, va.ssh authorized key. Yes, added. And now for the third node. Yes, copying the key and va.ssh authorized key added here. Okay, fine. So now I added the key for all the three nodes. I'm also going to create the SSH config. For example, I have PXE1, PXE2, PXE3. Let me put the IPs so that we can easily SSH the nodes, right? So for that purpose, so this will be my first node, and this will be my second node, and this is my third node. Okay, now we can easily SSH the nodes like SSH PXE1, Yeah, so in this way we can SSH. Okay, fine. So now the next step, I'm going to create three terminals. First one is SSH1, PXE1. So here I'm switching to sudo and okay, fine. And here, this is my second terminal here, SSH PXE2 and yes, there. And this is my third terminal here, SSH PXE3. Okay. Um, Here. So I have three tabs. Okay, first one is for the PXE1, second one is for the PXE2, and third one is for the PXE3. So let me give the so this is the Ubuntu. So here you can see this is the Ubuntu machine. Ubuntu the release is 22.04. Okay. So first let me get update. Okay. So here apt get update and the third node also apt get update. So so the first step is yeah, I already enabled the ports. Okay. So you can verify using this like this. So for example, let me get the I will tell you how to verify the port for one server. So I'm listening the port and I'm just copying the IP and I'm going to the second server. Here I'm going to just telnet 4567 and here you can see I'm able to connect. Okay, so first if your service is already running, then you can directly telnet from the other node. But if your service is not running, which means your port is not listening, then you can manually listening using the NC command. Okay, netcat command. I am just listening manually 4567 and I am trying to verify. I'm trying to access from this other node and there I can see it is connected. So in this case, I can make sure my port is opening. I mean the 4567 port is open from this server to this server. Okay. Similarly, you can verify the other ports as well. Okay, fine. So the next step is I know the port is already open, so that is fine. I also verify one port. The next step is I need to install the Percona repository. Okay, Percona apt repository. You can directly install from the like here you can find all the steps. So we already executed the update. I can have the curl command, so that is fine. I'm just copying the file and so it will download and you can see the Percona release latest generic that is now available here. Okay, then the next step is I need to install. So before that, let me download this on all the three nodes. Okay. So this is the second node, and similarly, I'm doing for that node as well. And here you can see it is downloaded successfully. Fine. And the next step is I need to install these packages. So let me proceed with this. I will add this link in the description. You can also easily find it like Percona IPT repository or whatever. You can easily find it in the website. But anyway, I will add this link in the description as well. Okay. Now I'm installing on all the 3 nodes. And this is for the third node. Let it install. And the next step is again apt update. So after install the repository, just to make sure it is the cache is up to date, to do apt update, and on all the servers apt update, apt update. Okay, fine. Now I have to set up the PXE80. Okay, I am going to install the Percona XtraDB Cluster 8 version. Okay, for that I need to set up it. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. So for example, here if you search apt search Percona XtraDB Cluster. If I search, it will show by default. You can find the 5.7 package. Okay, 5.7 package by default. You will see 5.7 package here. Here you can see all the packages are from 5.7. But my requirement is 8. I have to install the Percona XtraDB cluster 8 version, right? So for that, so once you install the Percona repository, you have the command line Percona release. Okay, you can just type and give tab. It will autofill. Percona release. Just enter. So here you can see all the available products. Okay, so for example, if you want to install the Percona server for MySQL, you need 5.6. You need to set up this one. 5.7, you need to set up this one. 8.0, you need to set up this one. Okay, similarly for MongoDB and Postgres and extra backup, if you want to install the Percona extra backup 2.4 version, you need to install 8 version, you need to install this. And similarly for the Percona XtraDB cluster, here you can find the package PXC. Okay, PXC56, PXC57, PXC80. Okay, so similarly you can find all the packages. Okay, here products here. So for our purpose, our motivation is we have to install the Percona XtraDB cluster 8, right? So here for that, here you can find the product PXC80. Okay, so just copy it. Now we need to set up Percona-release setup PXE80. Okay, so it will execute, and yeah, here you can see it is done. And now you can find the packages from like apt search Percona XtraDB cluster. It will get the packages from 8 version. Okay, so for example, here you can see Percona XtraDB cluster 8.0.33. Okay, so similar in this way you can set up which product you want to install, you can set up it. Okay, fine. So now we are good, and let me set up the same on other servers as well. Set up, and here also set up 8.0 version. Fine. Now I am good to install the Percona XtraDB cluster, and let me copy this apt get install Percona XtraDB cluster. And here you can see it will ask for your acknowledgement. Why? And again in the next server, apt get install Percona XtraDB cluster, and yes, and for the third server as well, apt get install Percona XtraDB cluster. Yes. Okay. So yeah, it is asking for the password Percona at 321. Well, Percona at 321. Okay, and it is installing. And here also second server Percona at 321. Percona at 321. Choosing the legacy authentication method. And coming the third node Percona at 321. So this is the MySQL root password. Okay, Percona at 321. Choosing the legacy password method. Fine. So you can see the installation is in progress on all these three nodes. Let's wait until it completed. Okay. So actually, one thing I want to clarify, I just given some quick introduction about here. So this is my first part of the video, but I feel like this is very I given very basic informations, okay, in the introduction. But if you see this like SST and IST, GCACHE, that they are quite uh, big topic. We have to understand more from there. Okay, so so don't worry about it. Yeah, I would recommend to go through the documentation. Documentation is very clear. Percona documentation, Galera documentation, they are very clear. You can go through it. And also, I have the plan to release the further videos to explain all these terms. Okay, with the practical demos, like what is GCACHE, what is IST, how it is happening, how SST is happening. We will see the logs, everything. Okay. Don't need to confuse with that for now. For now, just get some basic information. So going forward, I will plan for the further videos. Okay, so for this video, the main motivation is to configure the three-node Percona XtraDB cluster, and we will test the replication. Okay, fine. So here you can see it is installed. You can verify, like grab Percona, and you can see the packages installed. 8.0.33 client, cluster, common. So all these packages are installed. So let me confirm this in the other nodes as well to make sure. So here you can see it is installed. And here also it is installed. Good. Fine. So now what are the steps we did? So yeah, let me write it here. So for the better understanding. So first what we did, I already created the server. Yeah, that is fine. Created 3 servers as and configured the SSH config, but this is optional. Okay. Uh, you can directly SSH the server and you can do that. Okay, you don't need to configure. This is the optional one. And the next one is installed the Percona apt repository, and yeah, verify the ports, and then installed the um per yeah, and let me more clear here. Yeah, install the Percona repository. Then we set up, right, set up PXE80, because we need to install the Percona XtraDB cluster 8 version. So we set up the PXE80, then installed PXE8 version on all the nodes. Okay. So now we installed. The next step is we need to configure. Okay. So for example, coming back to the terminal. So yeah, system CTL status MySQL. It is inactive. So just start. Okay. And Okay. So here my password is Percona at 321, right? So fine. So yeah, you can verify. This is the version. Fine. So here show global status like wsrep. So here you can see there is one status parameter wsrep cluster size. Okay. So here you can see currently how much nodes are joined in the cluster. So here currently I have one because only one node. See, I just installed the Percona XtraDB cluster on all the nodes. Okay, did not configure it, right? I need to tell the nodes what are your other nodes, right? In the group. So for that, I need to do some configuration so that they will identify the nodes and they will work as a cluster, right? So yeah, so the next step is configuration. But before that, let me create one SQL. So this status is currently we have some 79 rows, right? 79 rows. So let me simplify this. Show global status where variable name in. I'm just trying to get some important status parameters. And here cluster status, primary, and WSUB cluster size means how many nodes are available in the cluster. Okay, that you can check from the WSUB cluster size. And you can check the US state whether your cluster is operational or not. And then you can also check your local state, which is sync or desync. Okay, so you have different options there. So this is I would prefer to monitor. Okay, in most of, and we have the other important status like you can monitor the flow control. But yeah, that is different topic that like we will see in the coming sessions. But this is something like basic. You can get to know about your cluster status, which is primary or non-primary, whether your cluster is operational or not. It is synchronized or in desync mode. That you can check using this, and using the cluster size you can identify how much nodes are currently connected in your cluster. So we have 3 node cluster, but you can see here WSRF cluster size is 1, which means only one node is currently available in this cluster. And you can execute the same command in all the nodes individually. For example, let me start it. Um, yeah, and okay. Yeah, let me before checking that, let me do one thing. Echo -en. So typing the password is quite annoying, right? Client. But so in this I'm just creating the local config. So in this case I can it will read the password from my local config, but I would not recommend this in the production environment. Okay. Because who have the access, they can easily identify the password, right? So here I'm just creating under the home directory root dot my dot cnf dot means which is the hidden file. It will create. Yeah, so I just created it. MySQL. Yeah, cool. So now I can log in without password. With password, but I don't need to provide in the command prompt. It will automatically get it from this file. Okay, again, I would not recommend this approach. Okay, in your production environment. Mm, systemctl start MySQL. Yes, and I have the password over there. Yeah. So now I bring all the 3 nodes up. Now let me execute this command Here you can see the status is 1, cluster size is 1. Here you can validate the cluster size, which is 1. And this is a second node. There also the cluster size is 1, right? And let me execute the same in the third node. There also you can see the cluster size is 1, right? As I told, we did not configure the cluster yet. We just installed the packages and we just started the MySQL service. That's it. Okay, but we did not configure the cluster yet. So now let's configure. Okay, so that is the next step. Fine. So first we can configure one by one. Okay, I'm coming to the PXE1, the first node. Okay, so here I'm coming to the MySQL, etc MySQL directory. I have this. Let me stop the MySQL first. I think I did not add the local config here, right? Yeah, let me add it here as well. 1 second. Fine. So now systemctl stop MySQL. Okay. Hmm. I'm just stopping on um all the nodes. Fine. I'm going to the etc MySQL folder, and there I can see different configs. Okay, but I do not prefer to use multiple configs, so I'm just removing everything in that folder, and I'm creating only one my.cnf there. Okay, and here let me create the configurations. I'm creating the MySQL D group, and there server ID, making it 100, and log bin. Actually, bin log is not needed. As I told, for the Galera replication, binary logs are not needed. Okay, so if you need bin log to track the changes, you can enable it. Okay, so I'm just doing PXE1. You can give any name for your bin log prefix. Okay, then log error. I'm using var log MySQL error dot log location, and log error verbosity. I need more verbose, and I always choose two. Like for to get more debug informations in your error log. Okay, and then bind address. I use the local IP. So let me get the local IP. Okay, and yeah, I think the data directory, those things will be get from by default. So mostly this is fine. And let me put just for the buffer pool. Okay, InnoDB buffer pool size 1 GB. Okay, I have overall 2 GB RAM. I'm just allocating 1 GB, and to avoid the default value, I'm just using 1 GB for here. Okay, you can add more variables, but this is fine here. I mean for our testing, and here I'm going to use the WSRUP. So for to configure the Galera replication, we need to configure some parameters. Okay, so that we will see. So first one is WSRUP provider. So we have to tell the library file where it is located. The location should be user lib. Yeah, Galera 4. Yeah, so this is the Galera library file, and this is the provider, Galera replication provider. So WSREP provider is we need to provide the complete location here. Okay, so this is the first parameter. Then the next one is WSREP cluster address. Okay, so here I need to tell the nodes which are going to participate in the Galera cluster. So we have 3 nodes. First one and the second node IP, and you can give with the comma. Okay, between the using the comma you can separate the nodes, and this is the third node. Okay, so 250.84 and .97. Okay, so I just added these 3 nodes are going to be part of the cluster. You can use the WSREP cluster address variable. Next one is WSREP cluster name. This should be common for all the nodes. Okay, I mean in the same cluster. So you can give any name. So for me, Sri Vlogs. I'm just giving Sri Vlogs. The next one is WSREP node name. Okay, so you can give any name. I'm giving PXE1. Then WSREP node address. Here you need to give the IP of your node. So I'm giving the IP of the PXE1. Then WSREP SST method. Okay, so here you need to provide which method you want. So as I told, you can choose rsync, extra backup, Maria backup, MySQL dump. Okay, I think the clone is also supported. Okay, so here I am choosing extra backup v2. Okay, so mostly yeah, so this parameters are mostly enough. Okay, so the WSREP provider and WSREP cluster address and cluster name. So this thing and SST method. So these things are quite important, and I think this is fine to start with the basic. So this is good enough. So let me cross verify once. I given the server ID and given the bin, error log location, binary address, buffer pool. Yeah, so this is fine, I think. So let me save this, and now here starting the MySQL service is quite different. Okay, so because let's for example in the my.cnf I given these 3 IPs, right? I given these 3 IPs. So when I am trying to start the MySQL service with the normal command, for example, systemctl start MySQL, service start MySQL. When I'm starting that, MySQL D will read this variable, WSREP cluster address variable, and there it will find these 3 IPs, and there it will try to connect the other 2 nodes. Okay, try to connect the other 2 nodes, and it will try to find the primary node from this other 2 nodes. But here our other 2 nodes are down, right? They are down, right? So in this case, what happened? The service will not start up. Okay, the service will not start up. So when you are starting the node in the Galera, it will try to establish the connection from the other nodes. If there is the other node is available with the primary state, then it will establish the connection and it will join the cluster. But if there is no other nodes are live or not or with primary state, then what happened? It cannot join. It will also error out, and it will also cannot start the MySQL service. So to avoid this situation, when we start the first node of the cluster, we need to bootstrap it. Okay, we need to bootstrap the first node. So in that case, it will not check the nodes available here. Okay, it will just consider it as a primary node and it will bring up. Okay, so that is the thing. So how to bootstrap? Okay, so you have the different methods to bootstrap. You can empty this gcom address. You can just start the service MySQL start or systemctl MySQL start. So when we have empty here, then it will assume, okay, there is no node, so we just need to bootstrap. Okay, but if you have this IPs in the CNF already, then how you need to bootstrap is systemctl start bootstrap. I think let me MySQL at bootstrap.service. Okay, so you have to start in this way. The first node, only the first node. The first node should be bootstrap. The first node in the cluster should be bootstrap. And how to bootstrap is you can use the command like this. Okay, and let me execute. Okay, now it is started. Now systemctl status MySQL. It is inactive. Let me check. Here, graph -I MySQL. STA. Yeah, so I need to check the status like this for the bootstrap node. Systemctl status MySQL at bootstrap service. Now let me check MySQL. It allows the login. And now I am checking the status of the node. Yeah, so this is the primary node. You can see one here, operational, and this is also sync in Galera. Okay, that is fine. So now I just bootstrap the first node and it is up now. So now I have one node is available with the primary component. Now I'm coming to the second node. Okay, so here you can the same way etc MySQL. Here also I have a lot of configuration files. I'm removing all of them and just creating the my.cnf single file. And let me copy the configuration from here. etc MySQL my.cnf. I am copying this and putting here, and I'm just editing this. Okay, server ID should be unique. I'm changing from 100 to 101. Login pxe2 from pxe1 to pxe2, and the IP for the second node is, I need to change the binary address, right? So that is 84. I am putting the 84 here, and this is 2 GB RAM. So I'm just having 1 GB as a buffer pool size. And here also the WSL provider location is same, and WSL cluster is fine. Cluster name should be same, okay, for all the nodes. So I'm making this. I'm not going to change anything there. And but WSL node name is, we already have pxe1, so this is, I'm going to make it pxe2, and WSL cluster node address is, I am making it 84. Okay, now saving this config. And before starting the MySQL service, I would like to monitor the error log. Okay, so I'm SSH pxe2 sudo su, and our error log location is where log MySQL error log. Okay, now I'm going to start the MySQL service. Systemctl start MySQL, and let me come to here. You can see Galera active. Mhm. Command is still running. Okay, I think there is some error. Let me check. Yeah, so it is not up. Status. Yeah, it is failed. Okay, so I have some error. Let me check that from the error log. Galera file, open the connections. Okay, but port access is already there. So here you can see the group communication connection timeout. Okay, so provider failed to establish the connection with the cluster and it is aborting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, yeah, so this could be the reason. We already have the port access, but still it is trying to, but when it trying to establish the connection, it is failed, right? So mostly, yes, so here I think, let me check one thing. Show global variables like PXC. Yeah, so this could be the reason. PXC encrypt cluster traffic. Okay, so this is actually enabled from MySQL 8 by default. So in this case, it will only allow the encrypted traffic only. For this is actually for the um, security improvement from MySQL 8. So in that case, I need to configure the SSL, all these things. Okay, so in that way, it will do the SST. Yeah, I got it. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to disable this encryption here. But yeah, to improve the security, I would recommend to enable this and configure the SSL stuff. Okay. But for our like showing the demo, I'm just disabling this and I'm just trying whether it is working or not. Okay. So PXC encrypt cluster traffic equal to off. So in this case, I have to restart, I think. This is not the global setting. Let me check. Set global off. Yeah, so I need the restart. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm coming to the first node. Okay, so this is the first node. I make that entry in the my.cnf. I'm just turning off the PXE encryption cluster traffic. Okay, now I need to restart it to make that value effect, right? So for that, I'm just systemctl restart MySQL @bootstrap.service. Okay, let me see. Yeah, so the restart is completed and checking the status. Yeah, cool. So that is active and running fine. And check, let me confirm that variable is turn off or not. Okay, fine. So this is turn off now. And also let me verify the WSF status. Yeah, so the cluster size is 1, primary operational sync. Fine. Now let me make the same value in the node 2 as well and try to restart. And let me see whether that current issue is fixed or not. Okay, it's my.cnf. And here turning the variable off. Yes. And now system ctl restart MySQL. And let's review the error log here. Yeah, so proceeding with the SST. So here you can see it is starting with the SST. First, it will check the possibility for the IST. But if there is a gap and the data is not available, then it will proceed with the SST. Okay. So here you can see proceeding with the SST, which means it will do the extra backup on the donor node, which means PXE1, and it will copy the data to here, and it will prepare the backup the same way how the extra backup is working. Then it will make it as a data directory, and then it will start the MySQL service. Okay, so here you can read the log. Proceeding with SST, waiting for SST stream to complete. Uh, I mean, the transfer is completed, then preparing the backup at this directory, then moving the backup and running the post check, and it will start the MySQL. Okay, so in this way, you can make sure, make sure. Yeah, here you can see now the MySQL is started. And also, I would like to show some logs. This is the PXE1. There inside the data directory, you can find the backup log. There is one file, backup.log. There you can check the backup. I mean, when doing the SST, as I told, it will take the backup, right? It will take the backup from node 1, which donor node. Okay, so for us currently the donor node is PXE1. So you can find the backup log from the PXE1. So that is the file, and you can read the logs. So at the end you can see it is completed. Okay, and also this is the streaming backup. The backup will happen in the PXE1, and the data will be stored in the PXE2. So in the PXE2 also, inside the varlib MySQL, you can see the prepare log. Where is that? Yeah, prepare log. So here, backup dot prepare dot log. So extra backup has to be prepared, right? To make it consistent. So here you can see which is completed. Okay. And there is a move log as well. Move, backup, move. Move log. So here you can see that I mean the data is moving from the location to the data directory. And finally you can see it is completed. So once it is prepared and moved, then it will just start the MySQL service. So in this case, whatever data you have in the PXE1 will be come to the PXE2 as well, and it will work. Okay, in the third node, we will remove the data directory and we will start it. Okay, and see how it is happening. Okay, so here you can see the MySQL is up now. System CTL status MySQL. You can see this service is active now, and I'm logging and I'm checking the status. Now you can see the WSREP cluster size is 2, right? Because the node is currently joined to the primary component. Currently 2 nodes are up and they are joined in the cluster. You can see here also the WSREP cluster size is 2. Cool. So now the next step is I need to bring the third node up. So the same thing, I am going to copy the my.cnf and going to etc MySQL, removing everything, vi my.cnf, and changing the WSREP node address. This node address is 97, and changing the node name from PXE2 to PXE3. Cluster name should be same. And here also, I'm changing the bind address, and bin log prefix, I'm changing PXE3, and server ID, I'm changing 1012 102. Okay, so yeah, all good. We just updated the config. and saving this. And here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the entire data directory, rm-rf. Here you can see there is nothing in the pxc3 node. There is nothing, and let me log in the pxc3 here and to monitor the logs. Tail -f where log MySQL error log, right? And here systemctl start MySQL. Okay, and here you can see the you can monitor the log. So the same thing here you can see requesting for the state transfer. So here you can see reading this log, you can understand more how this process is actually happening. Okay, and here also you can see the backup is happening, preparing the backup, moving the backup to the data directory, running the post check, and started the MySQL service. So the MySQL service should be up now. Yes. So now you can see the cluster size is 3, which means all the 3 nodes are currently available in the cluster. Okay, and you can verify the status on all the nodes as well. Mostly that is not needed. You can check any one of the node, that is fine. Okay, so here you can see the WSF cluster size is 3 now. So which means the like in this group we have 3 nodes. Okay, so they choosing the donor, like let's say if you want to feed the data from any specific donor node, for that you have the different options. Okay, a WSREP donor address, you can provide the donor node as well. So there are different configurations that we will see in the coming sessions one by one. So without providing the donor node, it will choose the it will automatically choose the node in the group. Okay, fine. So this is just like the configuration. Now we have the 3 node Galera cluster. Okay, and so let me check the replication. So for example, I have the default databases, and I am creating the database help, and when checking, help is available here, and you can see help is available here, and you can see help is available here. Okay, so the same thing you can do any node, like you can write any node. For example, in the pxc3 I am writing herc1. You can see the herc1 here, and you can see the herc1 here, and here also you can see the herc1 here. So you can write any node, but you have some limitations as well, like it is recommended to use the InnoDB tables only in the Galera cluster, and all the tables should have the primary keys. Okay, there is a experimental variable. I think there is one variable MySum support. For example, show global variables like MySum. MySum, yeah, WSREP replicate MySum. It is off. By turning this on, you can replicate the MySum tables as well, but there is some, I mean, I think this variable is still in the experimental. And also, let me check. Yeah, description. Whether or not DML updates some tables will be replicated. This function is still, yeah. So this functionality is still experimental and should not be relied upon in the production systems. Okay. So this is when you are choosing the Percona XtraDB cluster or Galera, it is recommended and you should use the InnoDB tables only. Uh, in your database. But okay, so if you have the other engines tables, you should convert them to InnoDB before moving to the Galera cluster. Okay, and yeah, so as I told, yeah, this is about configuration, like how to configure the 3 node cluster, and there are few things like you should choose the odd numbers, okay, to like regarding the quorum calculation. There are few important topics available in the Galera cluster. Okay, so today video we just see the installation and configuration. So going forward, we will see about the flow control, gcaching, SST, how the quorum is getting updated, and some troubleshooting sessions. Okay, there are a lot of things to learn from the Percona XtraDB cluster and Galera. So you can expect some more videos in this topic going forward. Okay, yeah, let me complete this, install the PXC 8 version, and yeah, configure the cluster one by one. First node should be bootstrapped. Okay, so yeah, I think um, yeah, so this is like fine. This is what I have in this video. So as I told, we will see more in the coming videos. Okay. So yeah, yeah, bye. Thanks.